Recording in progress.
I hereby call this meeting of the Greenbelt City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Good evening. Ms. Niesel?
Here.
Ms. McKinney?
Here.
Ms. Pompey?
Here.
Ms. Pope?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Ms. Weaver?
Here.
Mayor Jordan?
Here. Please join us in a moment of silent reflection as we think about residents and others who have passed away since the last council meeting. In particular, I want to the killing of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her spouse and the shooting of the State Senator Hoffman and his wife. Let's pause for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
Thank you. And Councilmember Pope, would you like to read the Greenbelt Pledge?
Yes, of course. The strength of Greenbelt is diverse people living together in a spirit of cooperation. We celebrate all people by sharing together all are enriched. We strive to be respectful, welcoming community that is open, accessible, safe, and fair.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So we hold these council meetings twice a month to take actions and to make decisions. Our meetings are open to the public, always, except for executive sessions as allowed by state law to be transparent and so that folks can watch our deliberations. We do strive to provide an opportunity for the public to weigh in on our discussions, so we'll pause periodically. During those times, if you're in the room, you raise your hand after being recognized, you can go to the podium, and you'll need to state your name and where you live, more or less, for the minutes. If you are on Zoom, you can raise your virtual hand and submit a written question, or if you raise your virtual hand, we'll recognize you, but you will need to provide a name. We don't accept anonymous comments from social media. Of course, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or cable TV, you can send us a comment. Send it the email address questions@greenbeltmd.gov. So the first item on the agenda actually is petitions and requests, and it's an opportunity for individuals to make a comment or to ask a question of the administration. So at the time limit for petitions, it's 5 minutes. So please be succinct in your comment, and also we're all neighbors, so we ask you to be kind and thoughtful in what you say, if at all possible. So let me just ask the question: are there any petitions or requests? And if there is one, raise your hand and I'll recognize you. Any petitions, requests? Anybody online?
No hands raised online.
Okay. Well, that being the case, let's go ahead and move on to the next section of the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Are there any modifications to the consent agenda? And if there are none, could I please have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Measure carries. And that'll bring us to the agenda itself. Are there any modifications to the agenda? And if there are none, could I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Pope has, Councilmember Pope has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the measure passes unanimously. So that's going to bring us to the presentation section of the agenda, and we've got two presentations. The first is a recognition of National Pollinator Week, June 23rd to the 29th. I believe, I don't see Kevin Carpenter Driscoll. Oh, there you are, Kevin. I don't have my glasses on tonight, so you have to excuse me. Kevin, come on up. Welcome. Great to see you tonight. So, City of Greenbelt Proclamation, whereas pollinators provide significant environmental benefit that are necessary for maintaining healthy, diverse ecosystems in towns and cities, and whereas pollination plays a vital role for the trees and plants of our community, enhancing our quality of life and creating recreational and economic development opportunities, and whereas the City of Greenbelt manages parks, public landscaping, and other public lands that may include greenways and wildlife habitats, and whereas the City of Greenbelt provides recommendations to developers and residents regarding landscaping to promote wise conservation stewardship, and including protection of pollinators and maintenance of their habitats. And now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, Mayor of the City of Greenbelt, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, hereby proclaim the week of June 16th through 22nd, 2025, as our municipality's observance of National Pollinator Week. And as Greenbelt is an affiliate of BE City USA, we do urge all citizens to recognize this observance. Kevin, I'd like to present this to you. Thank you. Thank you. Kevin, do you want to go to the podium? So what's all this buzz about Pollinator Week?
So it's National Pollinator Week is this week, 16th through the 22nd. And it's just a great opportunity for everyone to be a little bit more conscious about our, thank you, our native pollinators, our local pollinators that we share this habitat with. So we're encouraging everyone to go out, get curious, find a local native nursery to go out, get some native flowers, trees, and rethink about how we use our yards and everything like that. There's also a lot of great local events going on. You can join bio blitzes if you go onto the iNaturalist app and find where some local bio blitzes are going to catalog, do some citizen science work with that. And on this coming farmers market, some of the pollinator circle with the City of Greenbelt will also be there giving away some of our milkweeds. Native milkweed is butterfly weed, so come on out. We've got little plugs that we're going to be giving away. First come, first serve. They go quick.
Hey, that's fantastic. So, if I'm not mistaken, you've got some ongoing project on Wednesdays actually working. What's that about?
Yeah, so on Wednesdays we've been doing our gardening get-togethers, working with volunteers in some of our pollinator habitats at Buddy Attic Park. So the food forest next to the playground and across the gravel pathway, we have a large pollinator wildflower area. So maintaining that with volunteers, taking out some of the invasive species, and even planting some new species in to see what works.
That's fantastic. Hey, thank you for your work in organizing volunteers, because to a large extent, volunteers make things happen in the city. So if somebody wants to come out on a Wednesday, or if they want to volunteer, who should they contact?
I encourage them to contact me. My email is kdriscoll@greenbeltmd.gov. I can get them set up. We have used a lot of Sign Up Genius, and we'd be happy to have them.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for your good work.
Thank you.
And next, I have a proclamation for the Juneteenth observation coming up on June 19th. And I believe we have members of our community here to accept the proclamation. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln first issued the Emancipation Proclamation effective January 1st, 1863, freeing the enslaved people of the South, and whereas Juneteenth commemorates the events of June 19th, 1865, when Major General George Granger led Union soldiers into Galveston, Texas, bringing news that the Civil War had ended and that the Emancipation Proclamation had declared all enslaved peoples free nearly 2.5 years earlier. And whereas in 1997, during the 105th United States Congress, House Joint Resolution 56 and Senate Joint Resolution 11 were passed officially recognizing Juneteenth Independence Day. And whereas historically, Juneteenth observations have not always received the acknowledgement and recognition through Juneteenth, though Juneteenth is a critical component of American history and it marks a turning point in our nation and a step towards equality. And whereas Juneteenth commemorates the strength and resolve of African Americans throughout our history and serves as an opportunity to celebrate the rich and numerous achievements and contributions of Black and African Americans. And whereas the City Council of Greenbelt recognizes the history of racism in our country and how it has led to many current disparities in education, employment, housing, and health care for Black people. And whereas June 19th, 2025 marks the 160th commemoration of Juneteenth, now therefore be it resolved that I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth in the city of Greenbelt and throughout the country to acknowledge the historical significance of the day and recommit the city to working towards the dismantling of institutional racism. I'd like to present this to you all. Stand up.
I can see the camera, so I think so through the between Iona and Robert.
Hey, thank you very much. Were anyone, Dr. Rosada?
Thank you. Just have a few things to say. First, we want to thank the council for this proclamation and the recognition of Juneteenth. We think it's a very important time in the history of Maryland. Also, even though this took place in Galveston, Texas, a year after Maryland emancipation on November the 1st. The Greenbelt Black History and Culture Committee, in collaboration with the Recreation Department, Greenbelt Cinema, and RUAC, will be showing a free movie on Saturday, June 21st at 1 p.m. Rustin, starring Coleman Domingo, an incredible actor. This film serves as a dual purpose for Juneteenth and Pride Month. Bayard Rustin was the architect and primary organizer of the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Justice. He was also an organizer of the sleeping car porters strikes by Black American workers years earlier with A. Philip Randolph. And he was gay at a time when folks had to hide in the closet and in the shadows. Bayard did not hide his sexuality. I am proud to have met and worked with Bayard Rustin in Brooklyn, New York, as we organized the citywide school boycott to demand Black American representation on the citywide school board in 1965. While this first boycott failed its objective, it eventually led to the appointment of Reverend Milton A. H. Glamison of Siloam Presbyterian Church in Brooklyn to the school board in 1968. Reverend Glamison was my minister at the time. Rustin was self-effacing, encouraging, helping to keep our spirits raised when they lagged, and ensured that our objectives were clear. We learned that knowledge, belief, determination, and purpose were the key factors when coordinating or when confronting racial challenges. I will always be grateful to have known him. Hope you all can attend the film. It's free, and enjoy the day. I don't know how many of you actually celebrated. The Prince George's County has its own, so we don't usually do anything different. But it was the 14th and not the 21st this year. So I hope some of you were able to get to Watkins Park. Thank you.
So much, and thank you for all you do. So at this time, let's go ahead and move to the next section of the agenda, which is administrative reports. Mr. Samarone, how are you today?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening, residents. I'm doing well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've had a busy week. I'll start off with some of the more pressing items that are concerning to us. Over the weekend, we had the youth center closed due to a sewage backup. And, you know, I take some of these things, I look at the silver lining at things. We're a week from opening summer camps. So glad it happened today and not next Monday. So the team is actively working on clearing the sewage backup and getting the sewer lines cleared and fixed accordingly so that we can open summer camps next Monday. And we have a full schedule. Most of our camps are oversubscribed. So that comes with great pride, but also a bit of sorrow because we can't serve all of our children. And that's a reality that we've had to deal with for years. We're in full swing of preparations of back to school already, although the school hasn't ended, but we're preparing back to school events. So we'll have a few in August with backpacks, haircuts, and a variety of other services for children. I know there were some concerns regarding the flu clinics for children. We reached out to partners to try to fill in those gaps. We will have flu clinics at the health fair in partnership with CCI. We have received a proposal to do flu clinics. I will share that with council, and I have previously shared via email that it comes at a cost. So we will send those updated numbers should council want to coordinate flu clinics for children. We've submitted an additional request we submitted our federal earmarks for the youth center. Our federal delegation has endorsed the youth center roof. Should we be awarded the funds for the youth center roof? And as a reminder, our federal delegation supported the request last year in the amount of $250,000. We expect a similar endorsement of the earmarks. Should that get approved, we will use that funding towards a solar panel system, solar generation at the youth center roof. Regardless, we are working on a request for proposal for a solar roof system, in addition to replacing the roof. So in the coming weeks, we will put out two requests for proposals. One is for the full roof replacement of the youth center, and a second proposal to install solar panels at the youth center roof. Another highlight of good news to report that we have finally received the grant agreement for the HUD service coordinator position. So that was a major concern for residents at Greenridge House and for council that just until a few days ago, we had not received the grant agreement for that, and there's concern that we might not get that funding. Good news is we've got a signed grant agreement this week, so we think everything's resolved. So we should have this funding to support the service coordinator at Greenridge House for another year. I've shared with council the legal review of the NEPA-related analysis from our legal team. Please let me know if you need anything regarding that. Animal Control is preparing for a microchipping program. That's a very successful program that Animal Shelter runs. We expect another successful season of that. We have several events that we're coordinating. In addition to the health fairs, we also have two business events coming up. We'll have the business conference with Ingrid Watson's office. That's on the 26th. Mayor Jordan will be speaking at the event. We also have the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce hosting an event where we expect our new county executive have a significant role at that event. Also, Mayor Jordan will be speaking at the event. We are working on a grant application for facade improvements for the Roosevelt Center. We're continually working on the 4th July activities. This year we have to take additional safety precautions, so we will be closing off many of the access points to the Buddy Attic Lake and Park, just to ensure we need to meet better or higher safety standards for that event. So you'll see a lot more activity for that event. We're also considering a shuttle operation to discourage folks from driving to the event, encouraging them to park in designated areas, and we're looking at running a shuttle from parking areas. So we're not ready to announce the parking locations yet because we're reaching out to those property owners to see if we can have access to those parking lots. One more thing, we hosted an ice cream social. CARES hosted an ice cream social at the Spring Hill Lake. 20 teens participated, so it's a good way to engage teens on good mental health and appropriate expression of feelings. We submitted our city manager report. I welcome any questions.
Well, thank you. Sounds like you've been busy. Very good. Questions from council? Thoughts? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
What's our status on the Safe Streets and Roads for All? Do we have a grant agreement signed yet?
We sent our grant agreement to the Department of Transportation, so I'll check on the status of that, see if it was accepted.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Pope.
To the flu clinics, which I think is an excellent idea. Is there any way that we maybe can partner with county schools?
In terms of collaborating with the cost and getting them to pitch in for the cost, we will ask. We'll reach out to the school district and see if they have funds to support that.
Yeah, it'd be beneficial to, for the schools.
Oh, absolutely. And, I've shared my opinion on this matter. I think the health department should be doing more to fill in the gap for the flu clinics. I know that they're struggling financially. The county had a deficit. We also have a deficit, but the need for flu clinics doesn't stop just because our budget's constrained. So I had hoped that the county would find a way to cover flu clinics.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Hey, with the grant renewal for the service coordinator, were there any new stipulations or anything on that?
I saw the grant agreement. I did not see any new speculations. I think if you're referencing to federal government and particularly HUD requiring certification that we're not in violation of federal law, I did not see any language related to that.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. And we're moving to the legislation, actually to other business. So item number 11 is a letter to the governor about the work Greenbelt's Reparations Commission has undertaken. Councilmember Pompey, you requested this item be added to the agenda. There's a letter draft. Would you like to speak to the letter?
Sure. As folks may know, this year the Maryland General Assembly passed a law to form a statewide committee to examine reparations and to see sort of, it's like a first step, seeing what reparations might look like in our state, particularly for African Americans. And although the governor was part of drafting that bill and very aware of that bill, he vetoed that bill, which is unfortunate because, we're a state, we are the free state. We should be leading the way in redressing past harms, and we're leading the way here in Greenbelt. So it felt appropriate that we reach out and remind the governor that we should be in a leadership position on this as a state.
Thank you. So I think the governor is very, very aware of this legislation. He helped to draft it. It's been brought up, and I believe what I've heard from talking to delegates and senators from across the state is they plan to override his veto. So, while I think it's important to have good relations with the governor and to let him know the good things that are happening in the city of Greenbelt, I wonder if this letter might be a little bit early. I think if we give the state legislator an opportunity to override, if that's what they're going to do, I think that would be very appropriate. I know that during this time, the governor is in a difficult situation, kind of awkward on a number of issues. And one issue that's particularly sensitive for Greenbelt is this MagLab proposal. So I think it's very important that we try and sway the governor as best we can to see all sides of the issue, which I'm sure he does. So the timeliness of this letter, difficult. Yeah, are there any comments from council? Please go ahead.
Well, my one thought was, I wonder if we should specifically, because I don't recall the letter saying anything specifically about how the statewide reparations commission would support the work that we're already doing with the Greenbelt Reparations Commission. It seems like adding some language. I'm not sure exactly where the right place for that is, but it seems like mentioning what we're already doing in Greenbelt, and that we would very much like to work with the state on larger. There's only so much we can do in Greenbelt, so that's just a suggestion to add to the letter something about the Reparations Commission in somewhere that seems appropriate. I'm trying to look and see where the best spot would be, but somewhere in there.
Councilmember Poe?
So do we want to then just kind of table it for now and look over it again and make suggestions, and then later or at some other point?
Well, I guess at what point would we know if the General Assembly is going, because they're not in session until September.
That's right.
So I don't know that, do we want to wait until September to send this letter? That seems like, I mean, I don't know that we do.
I would just say, in speaking with at least one member of our delegation, they thought that hearing from cities such as Greenbelt, that the governor should be hearing from cities such as Greenbelt on this issue, even prior to veto override.
Councilmember Niesel?
Thank you. I really like Mayor Pro Tem Weaver's approach of couching it more as a request to support our work in reparations and centering on that instead of how we want him to rethink his position. I think that rewording it slightly so that it leans more on the partnership could be maybe a more positive way to spin it, so that it does, because I understand that we're trying to maintain the relationship, and that way it puts it in more of a partnership instead of yes, oppositional. Thank you.
Situation.
Okay, any other comments, or how would you like to proceed, Councilmember Pompey?
I would support those changes and additions to the letter for sure. City manager, do you have any suggestions as to where you think that could sort of fit in well? Perhaps towards the end of the letter, where we talk about we understand your concern that the time for action is now, not more study, but maybe we could, in that area we could talk about our reparations work.
I agree. That would be an appropriate paragraph to make a transition from action and how we as a community have taken action. It would be great to have the support of the state with our work, and vice versa, that it's a mutual partnership. I want to point out the commentaries that made by council that this should be a partnership and not adversarial. And in the letter, we worked hard to strike that tone, that we were not taking an adversarial position. We wanted to recognize the governor for taking action, and emphasize that action without an informed study would miss some important elements. So, but to your question, Ms. Pompey, I think that that making a transitional sentence or paragraph right before the closing will be appropriate and connecting it back to the Greenbelt's work.
Yeah, I would like to see that. And I will say, I do think you did a great job of balancing the letter in that way. I work as an editor, and we often have people writing in ways that are critical of our naval services, but we always try to balance it with, like, maybe they're doing X wrong, but they're doing Y right. So I do appreciate that. I did notice you had that in there, so thank you for that.
Thank you. This is not the first draft, the first one.
Yeah, it takes work. So, yeah, so I would like to see those changes.
Well, is there a motion?
Yeah, I move that we accept the letter with the proposed changes and send it to the governor.
You second that? Okay, is there any additional discussion or comments? Public want to weigh in?
Oh, I'm sorry, let me make one more comment. I apologize. I had a resident reach out to me, and she mentioned the fact that we don't mention Indigenous peoples in our letter, and that's, Indigenous peoples are not part of this state legislation, sort of vaguely, but not very specifically. So perhaps when you're crafting the part of the legislation that focuses on our work, focus a bit on our work, that just mentioning that our work includes the Indigenous community as well. Does that make sense? And if everyone's agreeable to that.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. So that's going to bring us to the next item on the agenda, and that's item number 12, discussion of refuse and recycling service fees and services and pay-as-you-throw proposal. So enclosed in council's packet is the pay-as-you-throw proposal outlining the Greenbelt Advisory Committee on Environmental Sustainability's recommendations based on discussions at the May 5th council work session. I know that we have Mr. Lippert and we have representatives of the Green Aces here with a presentation, and we have a final draft. So I'd like to invite them to the podium to speak on this, and I'm hoping that we don't end up talking a lot of trash during this discussion, but it seems inevitable. So, Mr. Lippert, welcome.
I love to do trash talking. So. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I put together a very brief presentation, if that could be brought up.
Do you have it, Ms. Anderson? Or, yeah, okay, perfect. Oh, there's a presentation. I have the
did a
presentation.
that I think is a little bit more succinct. Okay, so we changed it. We're now calling it Save As You Throw because we think that we need to emphasize the fact that if you participate, there's a good chance that you're going to save, and perhaps save quite a bit by going this avenue. Next slide, please.
Move the Zoom screens.
So, the question is, Save As You Throw, you buy city-approved bags, you use those, and you have a much lower base fee that you have to pay. You just have to buy the bags. And just so everyone understands, there's nothing for the folks going around collecting, counting those bags. It's all up to the homeowner. You buy the size bag you need and the number of bags, and you put them in your trash can, and they get picked up just like normal trash pickup. Or if you don't want to bother with that, you can opt out of the program, but there's a much higher fee. So as we are proposing here, Save As You Throw would like to discuss either $220 or $240 a year as the base fee, or if you opt out, either $360, $380, or $400 a year. Next slide, please. So,
Sorry.
we showed, about a month ago, we actually brought in full bags. I don't have them, unfortunately, but they're much bigger than I expected. And here, the small bag is 8-gallon, and it would cost 80 cents for the homeowner. Medium bag, 13-gallon, $1.25. Large bag, and it's huge. It's a very large bag, 33-gallon. That would cost the homeowner $2. They buy as many and whichever size bag that they think that they need. They come in rolls of 5. Next slide, please. So, the system right now is not very equitable because everybody's paying the same fee no matter how much trash you generate, and when there's a deficit, those folks that live in areas of Greenbelt that are paying taxes and don't get the service, they're still subsidizing it. So it's not fair from that aspect, and it's not fair for the people that the little guy over on the left that just has a small bag every week is paying exactly the same amount as the person on the right with 3 large bags. So this gives an example. This is one of the examples, and I'll get to different options. This is assuming $240 base fee. Just so that you remember, we are now charging $280 a year, and the budget that was just passed is raising it to $336 a year. So we are proposing here, this example, $240. So it goes down to $240, and the opt-out would be $380. So if that's the case, the person that has to use one small bag every single week, and remember, this is every single week, you may not even need to put out a bag every week. It would cost that person $281.60 a year. So that is $1.60 more than what they've been paying over the past 9 years, and quite a bit less than the $336 that you all approved to raise the price to. If they use one medium bag every single week, it would cost them $305. And just so you understand, the way that $305 comes is calculated, it's the $240 base fee that they purchase, and then they're buying $1.25 medium bag every single week. So it comes to $305. If they put out 2 medium bags every week, it's coming to $370 a year, which is still less than the opt-out, which is $380, which is they don't participate in the program. Next slide, please. So these are 3 options, different options for the base rate, and also the amount of revenue that's coming into the city is determined by what the participation rate is. And according to Waste Zero, normally when you start out, the participation rate is around 40, 50, or 60%. So this would show what the revenue would be. This is only for 6 months because we're talking about beginning this on January 1st of 2026. And just so you know, if you look in your budget that was passed, it's $700 and some thousand expected revenue a year at the $336 a year fee, if it's the flat fee. Half of that for January to June 30th of next year comes to $389.5. So think of, if you go with the flat rate in the last 6 months of this coming fiscal year, you're going to get $389.5. And I need to make a caveat because the city doesn't separate commercial and residential. So that's really about $10,000 to $11,000 that is commercial fee. Save as you throw. Okay, $240 a year in option 1 and 2 or going down to 220 a year in option 3. This shows you what the revenue will be to the city. Do we want to take questions or?
Yeah, we do want to take some questions. If you'd like to, is this the end of your presentation?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
about halfway through.
Okay, well, I know that there are folks from the GHI board that may be online, may have some questions, and folks that are here in the room as well. And I see Councilmember Roberts has his hand up. Councilmember Roberts.
I'm just wondering, where is the recycling in all this? Does it matter how much recycling you're throwing out, or is that a commingled bag, or what are you doing with that?
We don't change the way we do recycling. And in fact, if people opt into this program, it's expected that they're going to be a lot more judicious at making sure that the recyclables go into the recycling bin. Same process as now. They'll be picked up the same day. You don't buy bags for recycling. The idea is the landfill is filling up. The tipping fees at the landfill are going up July 1st, and again July 1st next year. We want to try to get as much of the material that's going into the landfill right now and move it over to, if it can be recycled, recycling.
Are we gonna continue? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No,
are we gonna continue commingling the trash and the recycling in the truck? Because that's what they do now. They throw the recycling, and everything gets thrown in together.
I haven't heard of
So
any.
how's that going to work out? I'm wondering, because I don't think it's really. If you really want to get fair about the whole thing, you got to look at the whole everything, because that's what we're paying for now. We're paying for recycling and garbage removal. It's not just garbage removal. Recycling is because they're running separate trucks anyway.
Dr. Robles is
So-
online. That
So
may
I
be.
don't know how,
if
I
that
don't know
question-
how you can separate, if you're gonna have a system, refuse system, how you can separate this.
Well, I think the idea is this is a major change as it is, and we're going to educate the public. I haven't heard of any effort to try to also, and I agree, it would be better if we could separate the recyclables because they'd have a higher value. It's
Yeah.
just we decided to go to commingling, geez, how many decades ago? Because it was easier for the homeowner.
Yeah, but, I mean, if we really wanna advance somewhere, that's what we need to do. We need to stop putting them together.
Well, that's a good suggestion that, let's look to that in the future too.
Okay. Hey, so I am wondering, it's important for our public works staff to have an opportunity to sort of weigh in, and Dr. Robles is online. Mr. Samaron, I don't know, you've looked over and closely examined this proposal. Can you speak on the proposal a bit and its impact on our operations?
I think it would be a significant change to our operation. It's not unmanageable. We will work with the team to provide the proper training to the frontline personnel that's picking up the waste. We will also need to conduct training with our admin, particularly finance department staff, to make sure that we are properly billing for the services. So it's certainly a change to the way we're doing things, but it's not. We're not the first municipality that would be trying this. We would not be the last municipality to try this. I think there are other managerial things to consider. This puts some burden on staff to implement, but it's not an endeavor. Sorry, it is an endeavor worth exploring because the reality is harsh that we're running out of space to put our trash in. And this helps reduce trash overall.
Well, I think those are very important points. And the issue about subsidizing the cost, it's an equity issue, and we really need to find a way to mediate that. So anything that moves us closer in that direction, I think, is important. So, Dr. Robles,
There are a few more slides incidentally.
there's more slides?
Yeah.
Would you like to complete the presentation before
Sure,
we
I just
discuss
want
it
to
more?
point out that 389.5 is probably really, if we're just talking about households and not also including commercial. It's probably like 379, 378. And if you look at all these numbers here that the projected revenue would bring in via Save As You Throw, it's quite a bit more. Tens of thousands of dollars more, no matter whether 40, 50, or 60% participation, or you choose option 1, 2, or 3. Next slide, please. So these are, just so you know, the options. The city's revenue comes from the base fee and the majority money that comes in from purchase of the bags, as well as any opt-out fee. So it's the base or the opt-out fee plus most of the money that the household, the homeowner is giving to buy those bags is coming back to the city. That's where your revenue is coming from. Waste Zero will help us with a lot of the work that I'll mention here. And as I mentioned, the number, the 389.5 included $10,000 to $11,000 for a 6-month period for commercial that I'd like to just take out. And just to remind you, the county is now charging $356.32 a year, just about $360 a year. So that's quite a bit higher than even the $336 that you all approved if you just go with the flat fee that is being raised. Next slide, please. It will be a pilot for 1 year, after which we could adjust the rates or revert back to a fixed rate like we've always been doing. Education is key to making sure that the households, the residents, understand how this works and to get them to come on board. So that means it's going to be a major effort. It's going to be much more than what we've done with the bag ordinance. You remember a number of years ago, you approved the bag ordinance that Green Aces recommended, and it was mainly the stores that kind of educated the public, and the public found out when they went to the store, and oh geez, there's no plastic bag anymore. Oh geez, if I don't have my own bag and I want a bag, I've got to pay 10 cents per bag. It was mainly the stores that did everything, and the homeowner, we educated them, but it wasn't as much of an educational effort. For this, it's going to be just the reverse. The stores are going to be brought in and sell the bags, but it's really the homeowners that need to be educated. And so we need to know what the numbers are going to be in order to start our campaign. Because the main thing to educate the public is, geez, you could be saving money. This is how much. You go back to that slide where, I said if you have one bag, you're going to pay $281.60 or $305 or $370. That's what we need in order to even begin our educational campaign. Am I allowed to call
Mr.
on
Roberts,
people,
do you want
or-
to speak now, or are you wrapping up right now?
Okay.
I thought you were about done. I apologize.
Okay.
There's, I think, 3 more
next slide.
slides, 2 more slides.
Next slide. Okay.
Well, I
so
think there's
okay.
a couple points here to mention.
you need to discuss this with GHI
Yes.
to know what they've got in mind, because they didn't like the fact that there's a two system for payment, whether or not you're opting in or you're opting out. And they said, well, perhaps the city should take care of that, and we discussed that. That may be an option for the city to take over that service. But we need to know if they're on board and what they're on board with. And then Waste Zero will be working with the retailers to carry the bags and do the process so that the money comes back to the city from from the sale of those bags. Should I continue or should I answer questions?
Mr. Roberts, you have a
get this
question?
out. I want to get this out because, you know, GHI is 1,600 houses, and how are they going to figure out, you know, if, you know, everybody's got a different amount of bags they're throwing out or whatever? You know, they're used to charging everyone the exact same amount. How are they going to decipher, you know, who's got how many bags and how, and
Okay,
and to
okay,
vary everyone's charges? I
Okay.
don't see that happening.
okay, you're still not getting it. There's only two fees.
But the thing is, it comes
No,
down
no,
to
no, no.
them
There are
charging
two
us.
fees that you're concerned with. Participating and opt out. It's up to the household. It's up to the homeowner that decides how many bags and which bags they do. That has nothing to do with GHI. That has nothing to do with the city.
But it has
It's
Mayor Pro Tem,
only the
You can
household.
explain this, Rodney.
have to do with how much you're
Robert.
paying in the end of.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Right?
Mayor Pro Tem.
And it has to do with how much you're paying, because you're showing us that if you
That's
throw so
taking
many
into
bags, it's
Hold
this much
on.
and blah, 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 you know?
Mayor Pro Tem.
I think I can maybe explain how it works, Rodney. So the billing to the households is the base rate, the $240. Then, or the $380 if you opt out. And if you opt out, you can do the, you know, the system as it is now. So you pay your base rate of $240. Everybody who's opted in pays the exact same base rate.
Right.
Then you go to the store and you buy the bags that you need. So if you need one medium bag a week, you buy enough medium bags from the store as you need. The store, that's where the city gets the rest of their fees. So Waste Zero facilitates with the stores to stock the bags. The residents buy the bags based on how much trash they want to throw away. And then the store gives to the city the money from the bags, and that's where the city gets the rest of their fees. So you're not, so the trash people are not counting bags. The fee, the rest of the fee is paid based on how many bags people buy. How many bags purchased. So that's where the rest comes from.
Okay, okay.
Does that make more
Okay,
sense?
that,
Out get some counterfeit bags and they're
what
just
about,
out.
That sounds like a lot of effort
I
when
don't
the
know.
bags aren't that much.
I don't know, it
Bags are
just.
pretty cheap. I
it
don't
Okay,
sounds-
Mr.
I know
Roberts.
it's easier than
Okay.
it sounds. but-
okay. Hey, now, what about non-compliance? Let's somebody doesn't opt out, they say they're gonna buy the bags, but then after a month, either they don't have enough bags or they forget. What happens to the people like that?
Well, there is a process right now with what the public works trash collectors are supposed to do. There are people that don't even do it the way they're supposed to be doing it, and they have a form that they leave there, and it's going to be, we won't pick up your trash if you don't do it the right way. In the beginning, it'll be, we'll give you a warning. We'll give you a warning. But then after that, it's going to have to be just like anything else in the city, that they're not following the rules, they're going to get fined. So,
Okay, you've got a couple more points, and I want to bring in Dr. Robles. I want to open up the floor if GHI has representative. I know I see at least one board member. Councilmember Pope.
Just a quick question. Have we talked to GHI about this yet? I mean, have we had a meeting or?
They were at the work session.
we were,
I understand, but is there?
Just
any
come
we
up
other-
were, we were at a board meeting
Did-
on Zoom. Jane and I were there, and we were explaining all of this.
Did this come
There
up at
may-
the annual meeting? The
Pardon me?
GHI annual meeting?
No, it wasn't, well, we
No,
had a
no.
table there, but we didn't really.
I don't think it came
do-
up, not while I was there.
It did,
I
no,
didn't.
it didn't. We had a table where people would come over and talk to us, but it wasn't brought up during the meeting.
Okay.
It
okay.
was the week before that when there was a board meeting where we talked to, and the major issue that they had was, two different amounts that you would have to bill for, either participating amount, the base fee,
Right.
or the opt-out fee. And they said, that's going to be a little bit awkward, you know, that we have to do two different things. So
Right.
that's when they said, well, maybe, somebody brought up, well, maybe we should ask the city just to take care of the whole thing. Do all the billing, and we'll get out of the billing. And that would actually lower the GHI co-op fee, because now it's in there, and then people might say, oh, that's a good idea, and like GHI, And then they'll say, oh, it's the city that's charging me more now.
Well, and the city would be subsidizing the service in a different way.
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe, I don't know if GHI would want to have the opportunity to ask its members, how they feel about it. Or if there has to be another, some kind of discussion about it, just to make sure everybody's happy, because I have the feeling like not everybody is paying into this idea right now.
I don't think
Yeah.
everybody paid into the bag thing either.
Well, I agree with you, but
There's actually a sign up on Safeway's door right now about the increase for the bags. Councilmember McKinney.
Two questions. So, is there a way that we can ensure that maybe there's additional communication that goes out to GHI? Like, do we have to, in making the approval today or not approving it, does this mean it starts like after this approval, or we still have a few months, right, for education for people to understand that?
Now, you have to understand with GHI, and I asked GHI this during the meeting. I said, so how do you bill the city for trash collection? And I says, is it after the fact, at the end of the year for the whole previous year, or is it the very beginning? And they said it's the very beginning. So they've already paid the city, according to GHI, they've already paid the city for this whole year for trash collection. And they're getting reimbursed in that when each one of us GHI owners pays the co-op fee every month. So we were thinking of starting it January 1st, and that's the other thing. GHI's fiscal year starts January 1st, the city's July 1st. That was a problem too, because they've already paid for trash collection to the city for the whole year. So we were thinking about doing this January 1st. We would have some time then to educate everybody before then.
Okay, so just, I'm sorry, as a follow-up to that.
No, that's
then.
fine.
So then, we still have time to actually make the approval, so it may just need to be a tweak in language. Like, we're not actually approving a start as of January 1, are we?
Well, I'll say what council has approved through the budget has delayed any increases to waste collection fees through January.
Yeah.
So whether the council hasn't made a decision whether it's going to move forward with a rate increase on the program as it is or change the model to as pay as you throw.
Okay.
But between now and January 1, we will need to figure out how we're
Okay,
going to
so
move
I just
forward.
want to make, that communicates very differently when
Yes,
you
and
say it like that.
Yes, and I share that with the director of GHI, James Claggett. I emailed and said, hey, council approved the budget that accommodates GHI's concerns, which was to not have a rate increase until January. So
Okay.
at least the leadership at GHI is aware that we're not starting a program to January 1.
Carry through. Okay, and then my second question is, what is the difference in how many homeowners are in GHI versus how many are in the city that would be part of this trash collection? So I'm thinking about the total residents. There's 1,600.
1,600 GHI members and 900 plus.
900 plus.
Well,
No, to the
Th-
total.
th- Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
On the numbers, we have 2,300 household accounts on residential trash. Of those 2,300, 1,600 are GHI.
Okay, so it's still a sizable part of the population outside of GHI too. So I want to know how we're also going to communicate to that other 900 that are not part of GHI, because I think they will need to have as much communication as possible as well, especially if there's a benefit to taking part of this program if it could actually lower what they're paying right now. So
we have all different types of outreach campaigns that we are planning on doing. We want to do some videos that will be shown at the theater that can be possibly PSAs at Beltway Plaza, AMC Theater. We can go to there aren't very many homeowners associations in East Greenbelt that get city trash collection, so we can go to them as well. But we're planning all kinds of things so that everybody knows about this, and that's why we need as much time as possible. and a segue to what your first question was, what we need for you folks to do tonight is to nail down which option you approve, those numbers. But from what I understand, this will not automatically end everything. You still have to do an ordinance. And then when you do an ordinance, there's a first reading and a second reading. But
Are we approving the
this would be the
number?
contents of the ordinance that we need to nail down.
Well, I think there's some other things that need to be nailed down as well. Are there any additional points in
Yeah,
the
there's-
presentation?
there's-
Well, please,
there's-
I'd like to allow Mr. Lippert to finish, then we can bring in questions from the public, get more impressions from staff, and have a good discussion. Please, complete.
We're gonna need to
it's okay
train
with
public
council.
works staff into the new process. We're gonna, do all this, outreach that we're mentioning, and Waste Zero said that they would help us on this as well. We're gonna do the bulk trash pickup. Right now, if you're in GHI, you have to call in for that. We would make it that if it's the non-GHI homeowner, that they're gonna have to call in as well, to make it easier for Public Works. And because, calculations, as I mentioned a month ago, where this program goes into effect, they've found about an average of 44% reduction in trash and an increase, of course, in recycling. That means there'd be less amount going to the landfill, and reduced waste collection also has the potential for greater efficiencies and reduced operational costs for the city. Now, we are also asking that, because if you go with this, you saw the numbers in that chart, no matter which option you do, it's going to be tens of thousands of dollars more revenue than if you just do with your 336 flat fee that you've already approved. We're asking that the food scrap program then can be supported to continue past August 31st, when the USDA grant ends, and we are asking the city to approve a $14.13 subsidy per household per month, and that the homeowner then would pay $5 a month instead of having it free the way it is now under the USDA grant. And that comes to $57,933, which could be paid for the additional revenue that the Save As You Throw program is expected to bring in. Next slide, please. So, how do the funds work? Do I need to go into this, or do you all understand it?
We understand.
Yeah, Council Member, Mayor Pro Tem Weaver explained this pretty well.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, we mentioned outreach. We're going to do all kinds of outreach. We're going to work with Waste Zero to get the word out to all the people that have city trash collection. Next slide, please.
I think that's the last one.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. So I know there's a few additional questions. Councilmember Niesel, you've not had an opportunity to speak. Please go ahead.
Just from an administrative standpoint, Mr. Selmaron, how would it work out if we were to switch, for example, all of the GHI customers to pay through the city? Would we be able to handle that?
When the information was shared with me that GHI said, well, we'll just put the billing onto the city, I was not shocked or surprised, because I see the billing aspect being a city responsibility. So the fact that GHI has been doing it for the city for as long as they have, I think they've been doing us a favor. And we appreciate that. We appreciate GHI for taking that on. But I see it as our responsibility. That billing is an aspect of the service. So I have no concern with taking that responsibility. Obviously, it means more work for the team. We need to figure out how that looks. But I see it as our responsibility.
I do see that as a really viable option, especially because it would, match with the GHI fiscal year as we switch everything over on the 1st of January. And this gives them plenty of lead time to adjust their co-op fees as needed. I also think it's important to point out that all of these represent a decrease in what we are, almost all of them represent a decrease from what we would originally be asking for. So I'm in, yeah, thank you. That's my question.
And I've had some nuggets of insights just hearing the conversation over the last couple weeks on this topic. I've heard of members of GHI having a desire that it's all in or out. So I want to emphasize that this program is an opt-in program. So individuals have to intentionally opt in. If they don't opt in, they'll pay the regular rate than the opt-out program. So it's that 380, whatever council approves. And they will have the ability to throw out whatever they want, just as it is now. So they can just put out their trash. So I think it requires an intentional act from a consumer that wants to participate in the pay-as-you-throw. And I think that that act of intentionally opting in a program, it triggers a information-seeking activity that they would want to seek. Well, what does this mean? How do I do it? And I think that makes it easier for do that onboarding and that outreach, that someone has to intentionally opt out. Now, it's going to create some issues because folks that might not have been paying attention, they get that bill for $380 the first time, they'll say, wow, that's a whole $8.33 more a month. That may mean a lot more to folks, and then they'll say, why? They'll maybe look at why is the increase. So there's that additional trigger that might encourage folks to ask a follow-up question. Well, why my bill go up so much? And then that's an opportunity to inform them that you will be paying $8.33 more per month if you continue in this program. And you're welcome to continue. I think the numbers speak for themselves. One of the things I like about this feature is that it certainly brings in more revenue than just a regular rate increase overall. And that additional revenue can go towards providing more education, subsidizing the compost grow program, and a variety of other things.
Could I just interject for 1 second?
Yes, go ahead.
Kristen Brown from Waste Zero was suggesting an opt-out, that you automatically get in and you have to say that you want to opt out. Although I've got no problem with doing an opt-in. Okay.
Opt out is better because you can't just expect people to have trash bags, special trash bags on hand.
Excuse me.
So, I do have a couple of questions. I asked the question about non-compliance. That's a little bit of a concern. So the relationship with Waste Zero, does the city, do we have an MOU or a formal agreement with them, or
No,
they're
we
just
have.
advising us?
Very good question.
Yeah.
That's-
And specifically, I'm wondering, just with the implementation, I want to make, if we support this and go forward, what's to say how many of the stores would actually do this? I mean, I would think the food co-op would be very amenable. I'm not so sure about the other stores. And would you go beyond Greenbelt? Would you be asking the Aldis across the street where a lot of Greenbelters shop to carry these bags?
Waste Zero said that they would handle that aspect of it. They said that they do this in other states. They said that they see no problem whatsoever with Safeway, with Giant, possibly CVS, and of course
Target,
they
yeah.
don't know about the co-op supermarket. So
Okay. And with the subject of subsidizing the food scrap program, so as that program continues, the subsidy would be limited to the 22,000 accounts that the city has, or how can we go about expanding that to everybody in the city if we're going to subsidize them?
well, first of all, the subsidy that we're talking about right there would be for the existing 410 participating
Pilot project.
residents that get curbside food scrap pickup.
Right.
Again, like we were talking about in the future with that would be nice to separate the recyclables. Yeah, that would be great. In fact, I think I mentioned, I forget at which meeting before you, city council members, that there are at least 4 very close municipalities nearby that do it. Cottage City has an agreement with
City.
Compost Crew. Mount Rainier does it differently on their own, and they pick it up when they pick up the yard waste. And Hyattsville and I think it was Comar Manor. There was another one that also
Laurel.
does it. And Frederick, is doing it now. So we're not the first to do it citywide. We're not anywhere near first to do citywide. We would be the first locally here to do Save As You Throw. And the head of, the director of the Sustainable Maryland Certified Program said that if we are the first one, he's going to make sure that everybody around here knows about it. Everyone in Maryland knows what Greenbelt is doing.
I'm sure Mike would do that.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, and I think just to add on to that last comment, because I think that's part of Waste Zero's motivation in this, is that they mostly work up in New England, and they want to have some example towns to point to in Maryland. So it's part of their part of the reason why they came to us was they're looking for towns to pilot this in Maryland so that they have some visibility so that they can get other towns to participate. But I think in terms of what the process needs to be tonight is the reason for choosing one of these, and we still have to do the ordinance and all that, so there will still be plenty of opportunities for people to weigh in until we actually pass the final ordinance. But what we need is a framework for what that ordinance should say. Because we would need to do an ordinance to increase the rate to $3.36 flat fee anyway. And at this point, if we vote on what we want to do tonight, then we can introduce an ordinance for first reading in July and second reading in August, and that includes a public hearing, and would have lots of time to get feedback. And if we needed to, if everybody, if either we get really positive or really negative, there still would be time to change. But what Green Aces and staff needs tonight is guidance on what council wants them to do going forward, and then we would also have to look into an MOU or a contract with Waste Zero. So I'm going to put a motion on the table, because I think technically we're supposed to not discuss things until we have a motion on the table. So I am going to move that we approve a pilot for Save As You Throw starting January 1st with the option 2 proposed base rate of $240 a year and an opt-out rate of $380 a year, and with included in that a subsidy for the food scrap pilot, including the 13 city subsidy from the city and $5 per month from participants.
Second.
Okay. Let's see. Kathy Legendre has had her hand up for quite some time.
Comment online too.
Yeah, I think Barbara Glick's comment actually came in first.
Yeah.
Okay, Barbara Glick, are you there?
She just has a written comment. She says, excellent presentation and well-studied proposal. I support this 100% and don't see a downside. Thank you to the presenters. And then she was also talking about the recycling issue being non-relevant. I think this is, as we noted, that recycling does not change. It is still, you can recycle as many recyclables as you want can go in. The limitation is only on the trash bags.
Right. Kathy Legendre, are you there?
Yeah, she should be able to. Oh, I guess Ms. Glick has her hand up too now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome, Kathy.
Thank you. Good evening, Emmett and council and all those in the audience. I have several points and I have 2 questions. So Emmett, please let me know how you want me to proceed. Do you want the questions? Do you want me to present all 4?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and present all 4?
Okay. I'm having a hard time comprehending if I understand it correctly, you have a base fee no matter how many bags you purchase. So my question is, why does Public Works need to know which households opt out? I'm not understanding that part.
Okay, Mr. Summerone or John?
Because they do have to look and make sure that the city-approved bags are being used. So the people that opt out are not going to be using city-approved bags. They're just going to use their regular trash bags and do everything the way they do it now. So city public works staff does need to know which ones are doing the right thing and which ones are trying to get around it by making it seem like that they're opting out and just putting as many regular bags in there as possible without buying the city approved bags. The city approved bags are one of the areas where the city's going to get its revenue in addition to the base fee or opt out fee. So they have to be
Okay,
careful.
so that tells me that our refuse collectors are going to have to note which houses, just particularly in GHI, or have opted out.
Yes, and there will be
Mayor
a
Pro Tem,
process.
needs to make
There's going to be a very
answer this
low-cost
question.
process. They will be given big stickers,
Yeah.
very bright stickers that they put on their trash cans to let the trash collectors know that they are opting out.
Okay, so again, I'm having a hard time understanding what difference does it make? Because if I opt in if I opt in, I'm still buying bags that distinguish me as participating in the program, and I'm still paying $240 or whatever it was as a base.
Yes.
And I'm paying. Actually, I calculated the cost of the bags. If I remember from the slide correctly, it was $1.25 per 13-gallon bag.
Correct.
Okay, that I can get 50 of those at Target Glad for $12.79. At that cost of $125, it's going to cost me $62.50.
Okay, that would be defeating the purpose of the whole program, because
Exactly.
yes, you have to. They're going to be colored.
She's misunderstood.
They're going to be separate bags. The trash people are going to be able to look at them and know, oh, these are city-approved bags, and they cost more because most of the revenue for that bag is going to come back to the city.
Okay.
Okay, and Mayor Pro Tem has an important point that she
Well,
needs
so
to make.
so the way the bags, the city bags are the way you pay the rest of your fee. So the
Correct.
$240 is the base fee. You pay the rest of the fee to the city by buying the bags. But the distinction between an opt-out system is you can throw the big bags, whatever bags you want, the cheap bags, but you're paying more. However, if you do the base fee, and then if you don't have to buy as many bags, you don't pay as much extra for your trash. So the bags are more expensive than, yes, your standard trash bags, but that's how you're paying the rest of your trash collection fee. It's just now based on how much trash you throw, not the same whether you throw away less or throw away more.
Okay, thank you. And I'm a little concerned about non-compliance. If somebody says that they're going to participate and then they can't buy a bag or they run out of bags, they're just going to
Right.
put the regular. So, please, Kathy, please continue.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm still not understanding it, but I'll figure it out in my own way. Okay, so are there any upfront contract costs to the city with Waste Zero?
That's
Or-
the nice thing about doing it right now. Waste Zero, as Kristen Weaver explained, has come to us because they're hoping to get a foothold into the state of Maryland. They're already very active in Connecticut, Massachusetts. They came to us and they said they are going to provide all these different services, set up the bag availability with the local stores, set up the process so that the money can come back. They're going to take a portion, but most of it comes back to the city. They're going to do all that for free. Now, what they do, the one thing that they will get is they'll get a small portion of each one of those city-approved bags. So they're getting a little bit of revenue. But when they go to these other cities later on, they're going to be charging them for setting up the process between the stores and the city and the outreach that they help with. So we are getting a bargain here by being the first.
Right. Kathy, could you hold on for just 1 second? Barbara
sure, no
Glick
problem.
has her hand up, and she says she's got to leave the meeting in 2 minutes. So if you can hold on, and we'll bring you back on if it's council's will.
Yep.
Okay. Barbara Glick, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey, thanks for taking my comment. I just wanted to make sure that my comment was taken before I left for this other place I have to go. I mean, the arguments, with the revenue, more revenue to the city, trying to decrease the landfill. This is an opportunity for Greenbelt to do what it says it is, which, you know, we tout ourselves up as being more environmentally conscious than the norm. And we're getting a better deal, and it looks like more revenue for the city. So I don't really see the downside. I see no, I fully support this.
Okay, thank you, Barbara.
I
Appreciate
mean,
that.
do you have any other question for that?
No, I don't see any other, your point's well taken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, and we can pivot back to Kathy for a moment. I would like to bring Dr. Robles into the conversation if she has any thoughts or comments she wants to share. Kathy, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, please, if you could finish with your last question.
Okay, actually, it's a comment. I apologize.
Please go ahead.
In thinking about all of this and hearing what I have heard this evening, I find that this will be potentially, until the kinks are all worked out, which hopefully they will work themselves out sooner rather than later, an accounting, a logistics nightmare for both GHI and the city. And I have to ask, you all cannot speak for GHI, but does the city have the staff to make all of this happen, both with Public Works and in the accounting department? And I would ask the same for GHI regarding the accounting department. But again, you all can't answer that. But I personally, we would opt out. I mean, we've gone 9 years without having to pay an increase in trash. I mean, I think that's wonderful. Thank you to the city for making that happen for us. But that's just us. So,
Hey, thank you for your
I
thoughts.
thank everybody for all their hard work.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you. I don't see anyone else with their hand up. Dr. Robles, I was wondering if you'd like to say a couple of things about the implementation and from a staff
Yes.
point of view. Good evening.
So from the Public Works angle point of view, there isn't really going to be a lot of added effort because right now our trash and recycling crews are already paying attention to what people are setting out. So in regards to recycling, if you're putting out styrofoam or plastic bags or things that should not go in the recycling, the guys are looking into your bin before they put it into their big rolling cart that they take to the truck. They are looking into it. If there's styrofoam or something that shouldn't be there, they take it out and they leave it where they see it, and then they take the rest. Or they might, if there's too much contamination in the bin, they might just leave the entire bin. And so then the person knows they didn't do something right because the bin was left or there was a mistake, which sometimes happens. But anyway, with regards to the trash, if right now, if there's a, I don't know, like one of those camping gas tanks in the trash or construction debris that shouldn't be there, they leave it. They just don't pick it up. And we do have a letter that they leave there. They check the letter and it says inappropriate item or it's not bagged or whatever it is. We do have guidelines right now that people are supposed to follow. If they don't follow the guidelines, the trash isn't picked up. A letter is left letting the resident know what it is that they did wrong and why it wasn't picked up. So we would just follow exactly the same procedure, except now if you opted into the program and you don't have one of the special bags, they'll just not pick it up, and we'll just, in that letter or sticker, we'll add one line that says you're in the program and you didn't use the right bag, so we're leaving your trash there. So that's kind of how the crews are going to enforce the guidelines, just like they're being enforced now. So they'll just have to pay attention as to who's in the program, who's out in the program. If you're not in the program, if you're opting out, then there'll be a big sticker in your trash can. Part of our guidelines currently say you have to have a trash can with a lid and your trash has to be in a plastic bag or in a bag. So that's not gonna change. Right now, the people that are opting out will get a big sticker. So when the trash person comes and looks at the trash can, they see the sticker, they open the can, and they're like, okay, whatever bag is in there, we collect because they're not part of the program. If they approach your can and there's no sticker, that means you are part of the program. They open the can, there has to be special bags in there, and then they just grab the bags and put them in their cart just like they've been doing. So in terms of our work, it's not going to change that much. We will have to have some education for our crews so that they know about the sticker, no sticker, bag, no bag. But other than that, it's going to be exactly the same as we're doing it now. We already have that letter that says the things that are allowed and not allowed. They're supposed to check it and leave the letter and not collect if you're doing something that's not right. So, and Waste Zero will help us with the education of our crews to make sure that that's smooth. I'd like to point out that according to Waste Zero, 100% of the state of Michigan has a program like this, half of the state of Massachusetts, and then parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and other parts of New England are already doing it, and it's worked really well for all of them. So it's not a new program. They've been doing this for over 30 years, and it works pretty well. In terms of the accounting and the fees, Mr. Salmeron already spoke to that issue. So if he doesn't think that it's a problem for the city to take on all of the accounts, then that's fine. For GHI, it would just be two numbers, either in or out. So it's also not that big a deal, but if they feel that they don't want to handle that, then maybe the city can do it. So it'll be a change, but I don't think it's going to be extra work. And our crews, our trash crews, have already been asking if we could ask the single family homes to please call in their bulk trash. So right now, GHI people call in whenever they have bulk trash. Anything that's not inside your trash can, it has to be called in. And they've been asking if we could ask the single family homes to do the same, because then they'll be better prepared to go collect whatever it is they have to collect. And they'll bring the right equipment too, so that our trash trucks don't get as banged up from doing this. So I like this program. I don't think it's going to be that much added effort. It will be a change. We will have to have education, but we have between now and January to do it. So we have a good several months to educate ourselves and also to start practicing. You know, if you think that you might want to opt in, you can start paying attention to your recycling and then see how many bags are you actually putting out? How many bags will you need to buy? So whether you can decide whether you want to opt in or opt out. So, and I think that most people would want to opt in because it is a super good deal.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your remarks. And some of your remarks did speak to a question that came in online from Monique King. She says, how do Greenbelt residents communicate to the City Council active concerns with the pay-as-you-go-throw proposal and the current compost pilot? Who will accept responsibility for managing noncompliance if residents place their trash and or compost on other homeowners' properties? So I think your remarks actually spoke to that to a great extent. So that's helpful. I believe, Mr. Roberts, you have your hand up.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I guess I won't be able to use my old cat food bags anymore, huh? I recycle them, you know. I put my trash in them, I recycle.
I feel you.
Huh?
That's what I do right now. I have never purchased a trash bag.
I use the old cat food bags. It's easy.
But I'm willing to participate because the trash that goes to the landfill will be greatly reduced. If you see the statistics that have been shown, it's amazing. So
I just
even though I've never purchased a bag, I will do it.
I just have a couple of questions, and I'm just wondering, because you say we have like 2,300 customers altogether, and I know we've got probably at least 10,000 households in Greenbelt, count all the apartments and stuff that don't have city trash, and I think there are still some communities in Greenbelt East that don't use the city refuse. So what happens in the case of a person in a single family home that says, I want to opt out of the service altogether. I don't want to get city trash anymore. I want to, get my own hauler to do it.
Oh,
I'm wondering about that, but what I'm really wondering about is how would it affect the numbers, if you will, if another whole, section of our city said, Boxwood or Lakewood or whatever it is, said we want to go ahead and get a private hauler instead of using the city service. How would that affect everyone else and the viability of the service that you're planning?
I'll jump in on this.
Is that,
Thank you.
I think there's what you're asking gets at a core of a policy issue by council. For council in the past decided that it would only serve select communities. I don't know the backstory, the context of that, but I think moving forward, the cost of delivering services is getting more and more expensive. So there's an issue of economies of scale. I think at some point, if we remain small or we lose customers, it is financially not feasible to continue to provide the operation. So if we lose customers, then council may need to consider just closing up the waste collection services.
I don't think the council ever made any decision that they want to limit the number of households that we have in the system. I think that's just what's occurred naturally. It's people find a service that's cheaper, they go for the cheaper service. A lot of people, they really like the city because it's the same people coming every week and they know them and they feel, they have a connection there. Whereas if you have a private hauler, it might be different people all the time. And that for a lot of people, that's an issue. But, I'm just wondering, I want to make sure that this is going to be viable, because, if we did have another area drop out, that would be an issue. Apparently.
I think so too. For example, if GHI were to drop out of our waste collection services, I don't think that it would make sense. I don't think it makes sense for the city to run a waste collection service for residential. Now, there are many communities where residents don't have a choice of who picks up the trash. Washington, D.C. said if you're a residential household, your only trash service is the city. The last community I served, residents didn't have an option to pick a hauler. It was the municipality provided that service. The trash haulers that operated in the city had to have permission to operate in the city from the city.
We don't have an ordinance that requires people to do business with the city, though.
Right, we don't.
We don't have that.
We don't, so we don't regulate that activity, but surrounding communities regulate solid waste services. It regulates who can do it. If there's a private haulers, those are regulated as well. So that's a policy question for council.
And the only issue I see here is that if you're in GHI, you gotta, whether you're in or out, you're paying a certain amount. You're in the service, you're getting the service no matter what. If you're in a single family home and you don't want to have the service, you can opt out totally and I assume get your own service because we don't have an ordinance that says you have to deal with the city, right?
We don't, but I think that's something that council should consider.
Not fair to the people in GHI. They don't have that much flexibility, but hopefully we'll be able to pick up more customers. That's what I'm hoping. I think that should be the goal, to pick up more customers, because that, to me, that makes the whole thing more viable.
The thing is, look at the services that the city provides compared with the services that the private haulers provide. I've talked to people and they'd said, oh, well, they don't get that with a private hauler. The city does,
But sometimes the private haulers tell people one thing and then 6 months later they change,
Okay, we need to kind of wind down this conversation. Mayor Pro Tem, we've got a question from Mr. Orleans. Mr. Summerall, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make a point that I think it's worth planning to discuss solid waste collection for the city overall. I think that we're gonna, in keeping with Mr. Roberts' point that we should be expanding our services. We have looked at a capacity and explored where we have capacity and where we can add additional customers, because overall, in the long term, we will be able to manage costs for our residents better by building additional capacity and making sure that we're optimizing our full capacity. And also looking at partnerships with our surrounding communities. What can we do together to reduce costs overall for our residents? And I think we can do that by expanding our service area. And I think that that's a conversation that we need to have council. Does council want to expand its service area to the entire city and maybe multifamily?
I think the majority of Greenbelt is not able to. The city has not reached out or has not had the capacity to actually reach out into the multifamily developments, which is by far the largest majority of the city. So as Mr. Roberts was saying, I think this is the way that things have worked out. And the way that it is right now is the rest of the community is subsidizing these services pretty heavily with bulk trash pickup and everything else. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we read into the record the email that we got earlier this afternoon from Beth Terry. She said that, unfortunately, I can't come to the meeting, but wanted to voice my support for the program. As someone who makes very little trash, I'm in favor of a program that charges based on usage. It will encourage residents to reduce their solid waste, which is good for the environment and our wallets. I don't love the idea of buying plastic bags, but I think in the long run it will save more plastic waste than it generates.
Okay, Mr. Orleans, you had a comment?
Good evening. I'm certainly not opposed to a greater collection of food scraps. I might think that the city should be doing so more so than it will be even under this president. I'm not opposed to residents in the city saving money by sending less stuff to the landfill. We should all be encouraging each other to send less stuff to the landfill. I'm excited by the last few minutes of discussion between Mr. Roberts and Mr. Soloron, the city manager. It's been suggested in the past that the city should do a study of expanding our jurisdiction to include the entire city, residential and commercial. I think it could be demonstrated that it would be better for the city in a whole range of ways to do that. I have asked the question to the Waste Zero folks, and I believe their answer was that they are a profit-making entity. Now, maybe they're a social benefit profit-making entity, but they nonetheless want to make a profit. Private haulers all want to make a profit. The city, any municipality, any public jurisdiction should not be seeking to make a profit. The cost for pickup, whether it's refuse, trash, recycling, or food scraps to be composted, it should be at cost. The city should not be trying to have increased revenue because it's providing the service. It's an appropriate, necessary public service that the city should be providing at cost. If the city manager is correct in saying that the city has, since his arrival, looked into expanding the capacity, increasing the jurisdiction for city services in this area, I'd certainly like to read that. And I would hope the council would schedule a work session solely to that end.
Well, thank you very much. What?
We've had two more emails come in.
Oh, okay.
And I think another comment from Kathy Legender.
Right. So Kathy has said, if the city takes over the billing, this ultimately will reduce the amount GHI members can claim on their taxes, as GHI will not be including this cost in their estimates.
It looks like Dr. Robles would like to comment on that.
Dr. Robles, and at this point,
we don't claim in our taxes our entire co-op fee. We only claim the what's it called when you own a house?
Interest?
The tax.
Real estate.
The mortgage?
No, not the mortgage.
The interest?
Real estate taxes?
The real estate taxes, exactly. So the GHI pays our real estate taxes for GHI members, and that is the portion that we claim in our taxes as individuals. We do not include the portion that is the trash fee. So if you're doing it, then you're not doing it right.
Oh dear.
So, do you want me to read the ones that have come in via email?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so Bob Rudd asks, I would like to know what and how much in terms of dollars and cents, if there is a what, that each council member has received in terms of benefits, dinners, swag, miscellaneous business-related expenses, etc., from the company in promoting this Greenbelt. Will this company be expressly prohibited from donating funds and in-kind contributions to city council candidates in the upcoming election? And I don't know if that's directed at me. I have met with Kristen Brown, but it's been via Zoom, and I have not received anything in terms of any sort of benefits, just her time in informing at Green Aces meetings and other meetings. And I don't know that we have any precedent for expressly prohibiting funds from this, but I know for myself personally, I have never accepted any campaign funds from anybody other than an individual from any company or of any sort for my campaign.
And
If
I
other
would say
council members want to speak to that.
The same. So,
I have not received anything
Yeah.
from.
It's, and I mean, you
Anyone.
can, it's documented, you know, where your money's coming from. I mean, I've never taken money from any.
Okay,
I would
this
just say-
is a mission-driven B corporation. If anyone knows what a benefit
yes, I know
corporation
what a B
is,
corporation is.
they follow a mission. Profits are not their top priority. They can do things that would reduce their profit because it follows their mission.
Thank you. Ms. Pompey, I'd like to.
I don't think that we can. Mr. Rudd asks if we will expressly prohibit them from donating funds, but I don't think that we can, because I think that the Supreme Court has ruled in Citizens v. United that corporations can donate to political candidates. So I don't think that we could make a law that would prohibit that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, we could actually
could.
make a law that's
Okay.
more strict than them.
Okay.
So
Anyway.
also, there's another
Okay.
question. This is from Peter Buckley. The gentleman only used the monthly fee for the scraps program. In reality, a $14.15 a month fee is $175 a year. That added to the $320 average household will be paying $494 a year for waste pickup. The out people will pay $565 a year. Since only 400 people are in the pilot scrap program, the other 1,900 people will now be forced to pay for a service they don't want.
That is a misunderstanding. Only the people participating in the door-to-door food scraps would pay the fee. If people wanted to do their own composting, they would not be paying the fee. It would only be the people who opted in.
Yeah, and
Thank
it's only
you, Mayor Pro
$5
Tem.
that the
And yeah,
participant
and
would pay.
and it was $5 would be the resident contribution if they are in the pilot and choose to continue in the pilot. They can also choose to stop and take their food scraps to Buddy Attic or do their own composting at no fee. So I think that's a slight misunderstanding of how the food scraps door-to-door pickup works.
But they do get the
Also-
containers. Yes, Dr.
Yeah,
and
also,
at this point, I want to go ahead. I don't really see a lot of additional new information coming to the table, and I would like to allow council members to ask a few additional. Dr. Robles, would you like to finish, please?
I was just gonna say that it's 410 accounts, so there are 410 compost bins, but multiple families participate with one bin. So there's actually more people participating in the curbside composting program than 410 because people are sharing bins within one court or with neighbors. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take a vote, I think,
Pilot.
on the pilot. Will you restate your motion?
Yes, so my motion is that we authorize progress, including the drafting of an ordinance for a Save As You Throw pilot with the option to proposed base rate of $240 a year and the opt-out rate of $380 a year, and including the continuing the food scrap pickup with for the 410 households participating at $14.13 city subsidy and $5 per month from participants. And a 1-year pilot beginning January 1st.
Seconded that.
I think. Yeah, I'm just reiterating.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
So, I think there's still quite a bit of work to be done just in terms of the relationship with Waste Zero and the actual implementation. I mean, there's more work to be done. So as we are a lot. And I would hope that we would get some additional formal feedback from GHI. They've expressed some reservations, and I didn't see anyone who was on the Zoom call raise their hand and speak as a board member. So I think it's important to hear those points of view as we try and move forward with this proposal. And anything that we can do to address the equity and so begin to the subsidies and whatnot, we need to find a way to manage those costs somehow so that it's fair to everybody.
Well, it's a one-year pilot. I mean, keep that in mind. If we find out it doesn't work, then we'll do something else. But I mean, a one-year pilot sounds okay. We can give it a try and see what happens.
Okay, well, at this time, let's go ahead and move to item number 13, which was meetings.
I think, and this notice is actually for a meeting on Wednesday.
Yeah, there was, we're updating some information that was published in the news review. Mayor Pro Tem,
Do we need to do this? I mean, usually we would do this at the day we're doing the meeting, so I think that we just. But I move to approve the meetings, including the notice that we will be having a closed session on Wednesday after the council work session with the Board of Elections.
I think we need to mention the two reasons for the meeting. Yeah.
Sorry, I think I have the old one. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss personnel matters and to discuss public security if the public body determines that public discussion would constitute a risk to the public of public security, including the development and implementation of emergency plans.
Right. And so.
That will be happening on Wednesday.
Right. Okay, and I think I'm looking at the old agenda. Yeah. So, yes, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Just approving the meetings?
Well, it's notice of executive
I don't think
session.
I think that we will read that notice fully on Wednesday. So I think we're just approving the meetings list. Yeah? So we don't think we need to do a roll call.
Okay, but we could. But, yeah.
Roll call.
If you want to do a roll call of approving the meetings, the upcoming meetings.
Yeah, let's do a roll call.
Diesel?
Yes.
Miss McKinney?
Yes.
Miss Pompey?
Yes.
Miss Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts? Miss Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
The motion carries
Okay, it's 6-1.
6-1.
Okay, so that's going to bring us up to council reports, council activities. I did not get a chance to log in.
Yeah, the things that you were someone else was with are noted here, but there may be some that still need to be added if you didn't add any that you were the only one at.
Anybody like to comment on anything? We had a wonderful Greenbelt Day weekend. The naturalization ceremony was really, really special, really powerful. Was it 35 new citizens?
Right, there were 40 registered for the event, 36.
6 or 37
Seven
showed
were-
up. 3 were
How many
unable to attend.
countries? It was like 20
Over
different countries.
25 countries.
It was amazing. And I did miss the concert band. I know that their programs are always wonderful.
Oh, they were excellent. It was great.
Lots of things going on with the schools. I was able to pop over to Spring Hill Lake. There was a promotion ceremony there. They had one at Magnolia, but I did not make it to. You attended the Roosevelt graduation?
I did. That was a couple weeks ago. But I did. It was lovely. There was over 600 students, and they did a great job. I think they earned, if I'm not mistaken, it was $38 million worth of scholarships the senior class earned, which is, I mean, a pretty impressive amount. So, yeah.
Anybody do trolley trail day?
I was at one of the locations. Yeah, it was quite nice. The weather held out.
Did. Now, I attended an Anacostia Trails Heritage Area meeting, and they actually coordinated a lot of the trolley trail programs. They're going through some changes in their bylaws, and we have actually served on that organization on the board since the very beginning. And they've kind of split things off. They've expanded the area to the entire county, and they've changed they're going to change the governance. So instead of just having the core municipalities, they're actually going to include all 27 municipalities and unincorporated areas in this governance proposal, which I was really not happy about that. I expressed that, so we'll see what happens next. We have been so supportive and engaged, and we have benefited, but it's an organization that sort of grew out of the municipalities initially, so it's a mixed bag. Any other comments?
I'm realizing that I haven't rinsed out my tie-dye from the Artful Afternoon yet, and so it should be really dark and intense at this point.
I've got mine from 3 weeks ago. I haven't washed the tie out. So.
Show it off today, and I didn't forget to do that.
Okay, well, if there are no further comments and there are no further agenda items, would anyone like to make a motion to end the meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.